All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Late Night Crypto Talk. Bitcoin Brandon from Los Angeles, California. Thank you for being here this evening. It's been a while since I've done a late night crypto talk. Go ahead and type in the chat box where you're listening in from and make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I see me, Gina Muhammad, Bethany Gibbs, Lorna Vasquez, Tony Pinkston, Rohan Johnson from the ATL. Good evening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your Saturday. This year seems to be flying by fast. One more week left in February, and we are already into the third month of the year. Going into March 2019. As a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed financial advisor to be given financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share a suggestion, and it is up to you to make an informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. There's 4 rules I live by in the crypto space to have success. Rule number 1, education is key. Education is everything. Rule number 2, never invest money you cannot afford to lose. Rule number 3, always get your return on investment back as fast as possible. And rule number 4, where do you see yourself in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now? What are you willing to do to make it happen? Find a vehicle like KGX. Take action, stay focused, and do not get distracted. There's so many things out there that can distract you in the space. You can't be a part of everything. You have limited resources. Now, this is not going to guarantee you success, but it will at least limit or minimize your risk. Well, I haven't done this in a while. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most that we can ask for. All right, let's see what news can we get into for today. It has been a couple of days since I've done a crypto talk, and it looks like the market has been on a run. So looking at CoinMarketCap, total market cap is at 142 billion. It has not been this high all year that I can remember. I think last time I got this high was maybe early December, November. 142 billion. Bitcoin dominance beat 51.4%. So the money's going to the altcoins. Let's see if that's true. Well, yeah, look at this. Even though Bitcoin's up 4.3%, Ethereum 8, Ripple 5.7, EOS 10.7, Litecoin 5.4, Bitcoin Cash 7.7. So money's going into the altcoins. We have a lot of new money hitting the market right now. Best performers last 24 hours. Here's a coin I have never heard of. Safe. I've never heard of this coin. Up 72%. It is worth $1.59. That would be 34 million ever in existence. Wow, that's a run up. Nexo. Digibyte. Electronium is up 15%. Is at 0.007 cents. I'm so glad I sold that coin when it was worth 17 cents. Just let green do that just one time. Game over. Neos, 15% is up. Centrality. I don't ever remember seeing that coin. Baker, NEM, EOS on the top 10 is up there. Worst performers. Quant, Pundi X. I'm telling you, this Pundi, I don't get it. I don't know why it's bouncing like this. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down like that. I don't get it. That is a coin that actually has real world value behind it. But look at this. There's going to be 170 billion Pundi X coins. The cost of it right now is 0.0006 cents. So you can get a whole bunch of coins right now. Just imagine you get a whole bunch and that coin goes to at least 1 penny. Cha-ching. Just being worth 1 penny. Quash, IOST, Veritasium, ODEM, True USD. All right, so let's see as far as the market jumping like this. Bitcoin spikes 5% to $4,100 in just 2 hours, analysts say. Uh-oh. Did I lose? One computer saying I have no internet. Hold on, let's double check this. Make sure I'm connected. This computer says I'm still connected. I see Bethany. I see Lorna. What's going on my other computer? Connect. What? It's telling me to enter my. Give me a second here. All right, well, at least one computer's connected, so I'm just going to go with that. So I won't be able to see what you guys are saying in real time. So let's go ahead and look at this. Bitcoin spikes 5% to $4,100 in just 2 hours, analysts say. So let's put this link in the chat box. Let me do one more check here. Yeah, this should not be an issue right now. PC needs to be restarted. It's doing that. You know how your computer it puts up a automatic. I think I may be good though. Yeah, I'm good. All right, we're good to go. All right, back. Let's cover this article. Bitcoin spikes 5% to $4,100 in just 2 hours. Within the last 2 hours, the Bitcoin price surged from $39.20 to $41.37 by more than 5% against the US dollar. The abrupt and strong performance of the dominant cryptocurrency fueled other major crypto assets in the likes of EOS, Ethereum, and Litecoin to record large gains in the range of 4 to 7%. Like I always say, when one coin rises, especially Bitcoin, all the others follow suit. Confidence is returning to Bitcoin in the crypto market. It never left. It's the institutional guys that's doing something. Speaking to CCN, Three Arrows Capital CEO Su Zhu stated that the recent price movement of cryptocurrencies demonstrates the growing confidence of investors in the market. Confidence is returning back to the market, Zhu said, adding that more fiat dollars or holders could invest in crypto assets in the near term. I expect large caps to outperform. I also expect stale fiat holders to chase as we grind higher. Now, that is true. I agree with that. Last week, Zhu explained that nearly $6 billion is sitting on the sidelines within the crypto market, waiting to be allocated to cryptocurrencies once the sentiment in the sector improves. And I already said, disagreed with that statement. Yeah, there may be $6 billion. That's just not enough. This market is not being moved by this money that's sitting on the sideline. It's new money that's hitting the space. This has jumped up 20 billion over the past week and a half. While the 5% surge in the price of Bitcoin did not lead to a breakout of key resistance levels above the 4,200 mark, it sparked more optimism in the cryptocurrency market. So here's what that means. So real time right now, the price is 41.42, still up 4.4% last 24 hours. It's right at the high. The high was 41.53, low was 39.38. So let's look, I always got to check the bot in here. I don't see it. There's no buy order here on the bot. Is there a sell order? I don't see it. This is the first time since December I don't see the bot operating. So maybe that isn't controlled by Poloniex. That just lets me know something's happening. I don't know what's happening, but something's up. Well, the largest movement in here is 4 or 5 Bitcoin on both the buy and sell order. Something's up. Okay, let's look at this wall. The sell wall is at 4202, so the buy wall is at 4096. So it might hold there for a little bit. Buy wall's pretty strong. It doesn't taper off until 3900. But if it passes 4200, the next wall's 4300, then 4400. I still think this is a soft cat bounce or a dead cat bounce that is going to have a massive reversal. If it does pass 4,400, then we might have reached the bottom. But there's an article that I'm going to cover right now that's very interesting. Patricia Davis sent this over to me this morning. I only skimmed through it. And this is interesting here. Whether you bought Bitcoin at $1,800 or $3,000 won't matter in 5 years, says the crypto analyst. And I agree with that. It doesn't matter. The price is going to go so high. You know, everybody's trying to catch the exact bottom. That doesn't matter. So let me put this link in the chat box. All right, take a look at this. This is from Ethereum World News. Your Bitcoin cost basis won't matter in 5 years. Since Bitcoin began to fall just 13 months ago, investors have done their best to time the bottom. Some have been taking the safe, smart route, purchasing BTC on a normal basis, $2 cost average in, while others have been a tad more irrational, purchasing cryptocurrencies whenever it suits their emotions. You do not want to be emotional in this space. You will lose every time. Yet one analyst claims that by this point, it won't matter whether your Bitcoin cost basis is $1,800, $3,000, or any other figure in this range in 3 to 5 years. The analyst in question is Josh Rager, an industry personality and technical analyst that has garnered tens of thousands of followers on Twitter. In response to a quip from the crypto dog about Bitcoin's bottom, Rager explained that as BTC has already retraced 85% from its top, what's another 5 or 7% compared to how far this market has dropped already? In other words, calling a Bitcoin bottom now isn't nonsensical, even if this market falls a tad further percent-wise from its most recent all-time high. So here's what he means. You've got two types of traders out there. You've got long-term holders and you've got the day traders. The long-term holders are the billionaires, the Mike Novogratz, the Tim Drapers, John McAfee, the Winklevoss twins. These guys don't care what the price of Bitcoin is right now because they're in it for the long haul. I just read the other day that IBM believes that Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million one day. That's not in the industry crypto miners. This is IBM predicting this, which is why they're in the space. But the people who care about exactly where the bottom is are those people that's day trading every day, because that 5 to 7% does matter. You can make a fortune on a 5 to 7% swing up and down. It doesn't matter going up or going down daily. So it depends on how you want to look at this. If you're looking at this long term, it doesn't matter if you get into Bitcoin and buy it now and Bitcoin falls to $2,000. It's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. If you're day trading, yeah, it matters. So let me continue. Thus, Rager concluded that whether your cost basis is $1,800, $3,000, or wherever else you think the 2018-19 bear market bottom won't matter in 3 to 5 years. The analyst's optimism is likely in reference to the theories that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will swell exponentially in the years to come. That's just a no-brainer. I mean, it has no choice but to. I keep this tab on my computer open all the time. Whenever I need to remind myself that we are at the ground floor, the bottom, this one square block is Bitcoin. And we are at the beginning. If all it did was get 10 of these boxes, it's still not making a dent on the global world market financial system, but 10 of those means Bitcoin becomes 10 times larger than it is right now. That means this crypto market cap jumps to over $1 trillion. And when it was close to that mark, Bitcoin was almost at $20,000 a coin. I mean, like I told my mom, have yourself a budget where every single week or month you are putting aside enough money that you're buying Bitcoin and just stashing it away. So let's see. Just the other day, IBM Jesse Lund, hey, there we go, claimed that while BTC might only reach $5,000 by this year's end, 1 million could be possible in the long run, especially due to that figure's round value and institutional interest. Now, here's how I always look at things in this space. Whenever I hear numbers, I always say, what if they get it 90% wrong? So if IBM is predicting $1 million per coin and they get it 90% wrong, $100,000 per coin, can we live with that? What's the most it's gotten to right now? Close to 20,000 per coin. Could we live with $100,000 per coin? Yeah. Yeah. That puts the coin market cap at about $4.5 trillion, somewhere around there. So only common sense will tell you it has nowhere to go but up. It's just a matter of how high. Zua Fa, the co-founder of Pooling, currently has 11% of Bitcoin's hash rate, told his WeChat followers that there's a chance that BTC's next all-time high will be around the 5 million Chinese yuan range. This equates to 740,000 US dollars. See, you know what excites me more than Bitcoin getting that high? is that the other altcoins that survive, like a green coin, Bitcoin gets that high. Imagine green being worth $50, $100, $500 a coin. 500. What if? Because I love to go in dream mode. You've got 5 million coins, green coin, and one day the coin is worth $500 a coin. Do I need to say that out loud, what that number is? Let me not scare everybody. Let's say you've got those 5 million coins. You held them for 5 years. The coin has ended up worth this, $50 per coin. $50 a coin. Where do I get that number from? $50 a coin. Well, if IBM is predicting Bitcoin to go to $1 million per coin, if the co-founder of Pool is predicting that it was going to go to $740,000 a coin, and right now Bitcoin is only at 4,000. Let me go back. And the closest as far as the amount of coins to green is Ripple, and Ripple's at 33 cents. This goes up to 700,000 a coin. What do you think Ripple's going to be? It's actually going to be in the thousands of dollars per coin. I'm being 90% wrong here. I always play worst case scenario. That way, I'm not that individual. When the numbers don't hit, I'm start crying and screaming bloody murder because somebody said a number that I thought it was going to be, and it's not that number. I always tell myself I never want to be that guy. I'm calling my sponsor. You said it was going to be this number. No. I'm always looking at worst case. So worst case, if it gets to $50 a coin, and the coin market cap's at like 15 trillion, we're done. I'm not selling my green coin. All right, let's go back. Let's see. Rager's recent quip on Twitter comes after he took to Twitter to famously remark that 2019 may be the last time that the general population, meaning common Joes and Jills, non-affluent, might be able to afford one whole Bitcoin. Didn't I say 2 years ago? You want to own at least one Bitcoin, stash it away, and forget about it. He's predicting that this year will be the last year that the average person will be able to afford one whole Bitcoin. So he's saying the common Joes and Jills, or broke cousin Pookies and Tyrones, will be able to afford a Bitcoin. Per previous reports from this outlet, the Token Bacon and Black Wave advisor explained that as BTC could move parabolically higher in the coming years, by 2021, we might be able to obtain a notable foothold in the cryptocurrency space. He added that while global household incomes could increase across the board due to inflation, better economic conditions, etc., thus making Bitcoin affordable again, more likely than not, the cryptocurrency will be out of reach for most. Case for a further Bitcoin drop, which I believe there is going to be. While Rager is making the case that it won't matter when the long-term holders accumulate in the coming year, some analysts have still done their best to forecast lower lows in the ongoing market cycle. So what's the case for a move lower? And what are analysts calling for? Financial survivalism. An insurance agent turned full-time trader claimed that per the hyperwave and analysis technique, he determined that there's a likelihood that BTC could revisit $1,165, which is where it peaked during the rally prior to 2017. Murad Mahmoudov, a partner at Adaptive Capital, noted that fundamentally many preeminent altcoins, including Ripple, Ethereum, and EOS, remain overvalued and thus need to move lower before BTC can head higher. That's interesting. In another storm of comments, Mamudov noted that the waning presence of Bitcoin-related comments on Twitter should also be a cause for concern. The trader explained that tweets regarding the cryptocurrency have reached 2014 levels, lower than any point in 2016, indicating that very few people care about decentralized, sovereign, uninflatable currency, along with the thesis that the 2017 parabolic run-up had little effect on this community size. I disagree with that. And here's why I disagree. He's saying that talk, in other words, internet chatter right now is back to 2014 levels when Bitcoin was worth like $200-300. 2017 chatter got high because Bitcoin ran all the way up to 20,000 a coin. Where I disagree is the fact that that was done by retail investors. That was your broke cousins ran it all the way up, not institutions. 2018, the institutions came on board and they're building the infrastructure in place. They don't need the retail investors for Bitcoin to get to $1 million a coin. Why? Well, let me go back to this chart again. 95% of the population, where do you think their money is? At best, invested in these type of companies. At best, paying taxes for California's GDP. The Fed's balance sheet, $3.5 trillion. Then you got the rest of the world's currency in gold and stock markets. This is where the average person up to the rich people is. But where the vast majority of the money is this. All this. That's the vast majority of the money. These are the institutions. They're going to come into crypto. They are playing in, where's that number? $1.2 quadrillion is what they're playing with. Retail people, we've run basically debt. 7.7 trillion of gold, global stock, 73 trillion around there. We're talking 1.2 quadrillion. And Bethany's right. That's other people's money. That's how the wealthy get wealthy. I'm going back and reading all my old Robert Kiyosaki books, especially the cash flow quadrant. All right, go back. Oh, okay. I'm finished with that one. All right. Patricia, I hope that helps. So you wanted me to break this one down a bit to understand this article. Now let's look at reality that we are all dealing with right now. We're in a $22 trillion crisis. America's founders would face slap today's politicians. I would like to use a stronger term, pimp slap or bitch slap. That's what would take place because this is just freaking ridiculous. 22 trillion. You can't just keep kicking the can down the curb to the next generation. America's $22 trillion national debt is transforming the land of the free into a dystopian wasteland of citizens who are enslaved to bondholders. Bond, as in debt instrument, is rooted in the word bondage, meaning slavery. We're back to slave times now. Now it doesn't matter the color of your skin. It is a class system. There's an old video I used to share when I first got into e-commerce back in 2014, 15, that really broke down the wealth in America. Most people think they're middle class and don't realize that they're poor. We just don't see ourselves as poor, but we're poor. Vast majority of the money is being held by the 1%. You know what was a proof of this? The government shutdown. And Americans losing just one paycheck were already on the food lines, the bread lines. One paycheck. 7 million Americans right now are 90 days late on their car notes. More than 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings accounts. 60% of Americans don't have access to an extra $400 in case of an emergency. We are living on the brink right now. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, the national debt reached $22.02 trillion, or $67,000 for every man, woman, and child. Okay, I got that wrong. I thought it was like 200,000 per person. So right now, it's to get out of debt, $67,000 per person, man, woman, and child. The accumulated debt reflects politicians' love for deficit spending. In 2018, the federal government spent nearly $1.2 trillion more than it collected in taxes. How was that? Can you guys do that to your home finances? Yeah, I'm going to go spend $1.2 trillion more than what I made yesterday. This is not a Republican or a Democrat problem. This is an American problem. There's actually an online petition to sell Montana to Canada for $1 trillion. I saw that. Things aren't that desperate yet, but the day of reckoning is approaching. However, politicians don't care, and that it shocked great men like George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, and others if they were alive to witness Washington, D.C.'s dysfunction, irrationality, and perhaps high treason. What's worse is that the $22 trillion national debt does not include off-balance sheet liabilities, such as unfunded entitlement programs. For decades, the U.S. Congress has deviously applied fuzzy math and accounting gimmicks that obfuscate from the public eye an upcoming physical Armageddon. Analysts estimate an extra, what? 70 trillion in obligations that taxpayers will eventually need to pay for. 70 trillion? That's 215. Okay, now my numbers are right. Remember I said over 200,000 per person? So if you add that 70 trillion, that's $215,000 per every man, woman, and child, in addition to national debt. This is scary. The next time you vote, just remember there's no free lunch. You'd have to be delusional to believe candidates who stumped for free health care or free child care or free tuition. Everything has a cost. If current taxpayers don't pay for it now, future generations will have to. Passing crushing debt to unborn Americans is wrong and immoral, and I agree. Congress and President Trump should ratify a constitutional amendment that bans politicians from falsely promising free stuff. Such an amendment should criminalize candidates and officials who mislead voters. Well, we are not where we are right now because of free stuff. This article, he needs to amend this. We're where we are because of overspending on other stuff. There's other nations that have free health care, stuff like that, that are not in $20 trillion in debt. We just mismanage our spending. So you can't blame it on those programs. The math was already there that can afford all of that. But 70 trillion? I mean, you guys ever seen NASA's budget? This is what Elon Musk is talking about. A hammer should not cost $20,000. A toilet seat should not cost 15 grand. No, a nail should not cost $500. Where's all that money going? Just our military budget alone is larger than all the other countries in the world combined. That is why America has the biggest, baddest military this planet has ever seen. I'm not knocking that. I'm American. Anyways, unfortunately, there's no end in sight for the mounting debt. After politicians are voted into power, they kick the can down the road and pass the national debt to future generations. Unethical politicians get away with it because unborn Americans can't vote and don't have a political lobby. Indeed, cowards and charlatans in Washington, D.C. are in charge of the United States, a country that is supposed to be the home of the brave, immoral, and arrogant officials. Oh, wait, I said that wrong. Are currently in charge of the United States, a country that is supposed to be home of the brave. Immoral and arrogant officials would be the first people whom the founding fathers would face slap if they were alive today. Second, the national debt actually needs to be paid for. It's not academic theory. And you know what? We actually can. The United States has enough income coming in that if we spend within our limits, focus on our innovation, like we did after World War II, we could have the debt paid off in less than 10 years. That is doable without each American paying $60-something thousand each. Second, okay, most of the $22 trillion in national debt represents U.S. Treasury bonds held by investors who demand to be paid. The debt also threatens the federal government's credit rating. States like Illinois already have junk ratings. This is important because a rating downgrade will lead to larger interest payments as investors demand higher interest rates for riskier investments. So paying Uncle Sam. Let's be clear. We're all on the hook for this gigantic $22 trillion liability and counting, as well as $70 trillion in entitlement obligations and counting. Another huge thing when they say entitlement, they're talking about pensions and Medicare, Medicaid. First of all, that is not entitlement. That's your money that you put in because you worked 40 years of your life. Don't let the government try to bamboozle you and call that an entitlement so that they can take away your pension. Anyways. We'll soon reach into our wallets come April to pay the IRS, lest we get penalized or even jailed. Thus, politicians' irresponsibility leads to coercive punishment upon American taxpayers. The more Washington, D.C. spends, the more powerful it grows, which perpetuates a dysfunctional cycle. D.C. also gets more tyrannical. George Washington warned future generations not to place too much trust in central authority. That's why I'm very big on against declaring a national emergency to build the wall. Doesn't matter if I want the wall built. There's a reason why we have 3 branches of government. We do not want to have power centralized. Whether the Democrats control it or the Republicans, it's not going to be good. Government is not reason. It is not eloquence. It is force, like fire, a troublesome servant and a fearful master. Never for a moment should it be left to irresponsible action. Annual interest payment on the national debt reached $371 billion. The interest we're paying is $371 billion in 2018, according to Congressional Budget Office. $371 billion is payment on the interest alone, and it won't lower the principal balance. The founders would give Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez some well-deserved reproach. My only problem with that statement is the woman's what, 31, 32? She is inheriting a $20 trillion debt. Her ideas is not what caused a $20 trillion debt. There was no Green Deal that made the debt run up. None of these socialist programs that everybody's afraid of is what ran the debt where it is today. Now, because the debt is where it is today, we can't afford this other stuff, whether you think it's a good idea or not. She's not the problem. She's a kid that our past generation kicked the debt on top of, but then we want to blame her. That's just not responsible. It doesn't matter whether you like it or her or not, or her politics. Let's look at the facts. But let me see what this guy has to say about this. If the founding fathers were alive today, whom might they eject from the federal legislature first, and perhaps even charge with treason? How about Bernie Sanders? Who would have drastically increased government spending? But wait a second. Okay, this is a political article, and I'm trying not to be political. Bernie Sanders did not raise the debt by 1.8 trillion since 2018. He wasn't president. Donald Trump was. The Republicans controlled three branches of Congress for 2 years. How are you going to blame Bernie Sanders on that? Alexandria wasn't even she's only been in Congress for 2 months. The debt was already here. If you want to blame a Democrat because you just can't see beyond your own political bias, then blame Nancy Pelosi of all people. She's been there forever. Ocasio-Cortez, whose proposed Green New Deal has been rejected by Republicans and Democrats, it will cost taxpayers between $46 trillion and $81 trillion in addition to current national debt. We can't afford it. Ocasio-Cortez seems to appeal to extremely low IQ voters, folks you can accurately call complete idiots. Who wrote this one? Because that's one thing I don't like. Just because somebody doesn't agree with your political way, you're going to call them an idiot? Marvin Dumont. Oh, well, I haven't read this guy before. Marvin Dumont. I don't like that. You're an idiot because you don't agree with how I believe. That's not true. So let's continue. Let's see. There's complete idiot, blah, blah, blah. Her socialist stance also got Amazon to cancel its plans to move to New York, wiping out 25,000 jobs that would have paid $150,000 each. The point is that America already owes $22 trillion. Certain politicians are making the problem worse by advocating for even larger deficit spending, which would further increase the debt, as well as by creating a toxic environment for companies, which would reduce jobs and lower tax collections. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and politicians like Representative Ilhan Omar. So this article seems to be attacking the Democrats who have not been in power for 2 years. Don't understand that attacking people and organizations doesn't create value. But what do they know? They've never run a business in their lives. Here we go. This is a biased report, but it's covering a topic that is real. It says they get elected by dividing people on race and social class and by tearing others down. Isn't that what Donald Trump does every day? Whether you like it or not, it's factual. As John Adams wrote, when legislature is corrupted, the people are undone. Americans and their leaders have a moral obligation to educate themselves on the U.S. Constitution. I agree with that. As well as how capitalism works. Failure to do so leads to problems that Americans now face. According to John Adams, Liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge among the people. That means low IQ voters and politicians who mislead them are a threat to Americans' financial security. Well, okay, well, if you're going to play this card, the very first thing you said at the beginning of this article is that our debt went up 1.2 trillion since 2018. Again, which party was in office? If you're going to play the blame party game, I'm not playing the blame party game. I'm speaking as an American. Forget both parties. We got to live with this. Stop trying to point, oh, you're the problem. You're the problem. All of them are. If I had my way, I would do what country was that? I think it was Australia, 60 or 70 years ago, when their politicians ran up debt. They went in and fired every single one of them and started from scratch. That's what I think needs to happen. Get all those clowns out of office. Get the lobbyists away from them. They're all connected. Forget about lifetime serving. You need to have limits, term limits on the Congress. Hold them accountable, regardless of party. Let's see here. I don't like the partisan type articles like this. Even if it was saying the opposite, Republicans are to blame for the debt. That's not true either. All of them are. Because they're putting their own pockets and agenda ahead of America. Because they figure, so what? We'll figure it out down the road. I won't be in office by the time that we got to, the bills due. My grandchildren will have to deal with it. I won't be alive. I don't care. That's the attitude. They care more about the lobbyists than they do the people voting them in office. So if you're going to call people idiots for backing Cortez, for coming up with ideas that's going to put more debt on, then who are you going to call the idiots that voted for the party that's in office right now that ran up a $1.2 trillion debt? Now it's at $22 trillion. I don't believe that. I don't believe you're an idiot just because you voted for Donald Trump. You're an idiot just because you voted for Hillary Clinton. That's not the American way. We have lost our way. And because of that, we have to make individual decisions. We have to go back to what Jim Rome said. Build a financial wall around your family so high that nothing can penetrate it. It won't matter who's in office, Republican or Democrat, whoever the president is, whatever the economy's doing, none of that's going to matter because you took action to save you and your family. That's what I'm doing. I'm not waiting for Trump to save me or Obama to save me. I'm responsible for my family. You can't help others until you help yourself. That's why it is in your best interest and America's best interest for you to get rich. There's one book you haven't read, read The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. You can't help others until you help yourself. You can't run around talking about get rid of Obamacare because you can't stand Obama, but then at the same time say and be reliant on the Affordable Care Act and not realize that it's the same doggone thing. Voting against your own interests. Take care of your family. You need to become wealthy, and that is what crypto is here for. We have that opportunity as Americans. Our country was founded from the people, not the government. We, the people, even at a time when that didn't mean people who look like me. It was amended. So it's for all of us. We, the people, are in control. We need to remember that. And you start with your family, and then you can go from your family to your church, to your community, to your state, to your nation, in that order. All right. My ear's starting to hurt, so I got to stop. Late night crypto talk, Bitcoin Brandon. I hope you guys learned something new. As always, that is the point. Depending on the news, I will be back tomorrow morning for early morning crypto talk. We want to keep an eye on the market here. Let's see if this can punch past 4,200. If it does, we're in for some good times. Those of you in KGX, oh, wait a minute. There it is. There's the bot. I see it. It keeps dropping below the top. So the bot is still active. I saw 40 Bitcoins is in play. Interesting. I don't see any sell order on it, though. So the bot is doing nothing but buying right now. There it is right there. Buy order for 41.13. It is stockpiling coins. Interesting. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Bitcoin Brandon out. Have a good evening. God bless. Bye-bye.